Hey guys, what's going on? Joe back here. It has been a while. However, we are approaching Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and I would be uh, a fool to not use this opportunity to make a podcast discussing the outcomes, the possibilities, the predictions, and legacies. Legacies on the line. Top five players of all time in the making. I don't know, but let's dive into it. So obviously, this has been an insane Stanley Cup Finals, and this is not anything anyone thought would be said after Game 3. Obviously, the Panthers took a 3-0 lead in the series. Evan Rodriguez and Alex Barkov forwarding that group. Obviously, however, on the back end, Sergei Bobrovsky allowed one goal in the first two games of the series. I think maybe a three by Game 3. I forget what he did in Game 3, but this team was obviously destined to win the Stanley Cup, destined for greatness at that point in the series. And then what was it? Game five was a actually hold on, I'm sorry, I should be talking about game four. Game four was the absolute shit show. 8-1. That was when McDavid had four assists, or did he have four assists or 4 points? 4 points, I know for sure. And then the next game, I don't even know why I said that was the game, because McDavid also had 4 points in game five, a 5-3 win for the Oilers, and then finally 5-1 the other night. So in the last three games, Sergei Bobrovsky has allowed at least five goals, or I'm sorry, at least four goals, including empty netters, or letting out empty netters, I should say. So Bobrovsky has taken a big ass dip. However, no one is discussing Stuart Skinner. One goal in game six, one goal allowed in game four. Obviously, was it three in game? Yeah, it was three in game five. So I mean that's pretty decent. Five goals in the last three games in the Stanley Cup final. Stuart Skinner has been playing a lot better. That also, however, the defense for the Edmonton Oilers has been a lot better. Bouchard, even Evan Bouchard, who started off the series very, very weak, has grown back to where we expect him to be. Matthias Ekholm, even to an extent, Darnell Nurse, who, if you've been watching since round one, round two, Darnell Nurse is on my shit list. I don't think he's very good. But yes, it should be an exciting Stanley Cup final. Game 7 with a lot on the line for these players and these teams. We're looking at a generational players first Stanley Cup or the first Stanley Cup in Florida Panthers history, which is insane. And then if you want to look at it at another angle, the first 3-0 Stanley Cup final blown lead since there are six teams in the league. No one, Toronto has zero cups. All right, guys. I mean, if I can, I will stand on the hill that the Bruins only have three cups if it means Toronto has zero. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know we have six, but three of those were when there were only six teams. All of Toronto's wins were when there were only like six, maybe like seven. I mean, maybe they was 67. I think they might have won while a couple other teams were around. But no, I ain't. Anyways, this isn't about Toronto though. I love how I just go off and I mean look at that shit. Like of course I'm gonna go off on tangents about how Toronto sucks. But let's get into it. Let's talk first about the one, the only Connor McDavid. Obviously, he was going to be discussed in this video. He has been unbelievable. He had a slow start to the finals. How he has like the third, fourth most points ever in a finals or in a playoff run, being topped only. I do know this for a fact by Lemieux and Gretzky. He could pass Lemieux from what I've heard tonight. I don't think he will. He would need like 3 points or something like that. Obviously, if it's possible for any player currently in the league, it is possible for Connor McDavid. But that is a lot to ask for, especially against Sergei Bobrovsky, who has been really bad lately, but also is probably really, really fucking mad. Sergey arguably needs this more than anyone. 35 years old. Some people might say he's still borderline Hall of Fame. He can't have this happen. He can't be borderline Hall of Fame, then blow a 3-0 lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. Bobrovsky needs this. He has been amazing all playoffs, with the exception of the last three games. Against Tampa, that backhand save is going down in the history books if they do win the Stanley Cup, and it will perhaps be forgotten if they don't, unless you're just discussing Bobrovsky's legacy, in which case that shit is always going to be remembered. Bobrovsky's legacy is just going to be eliminating Tampa if they don't win the cup here. That's all it's going to be. It's only like 3-0 against them. 3-1, 3-1, because in 2020 they got their revenge, if I recall. I think that was the year that they played each other again in the first round, and the Lightning just was like they did what you would expect them to do to Columbus. That was the five overtime goal, though. That was a five overtime game. Why are we reminiscing on that? Anyways, McDavid, if he wins the cup, where is he in players of all time? Well, he's already got 980 regular season points at his age, which is unbelievable. He has broken many records. Has he broken a record? I feel like he's broken some Gretzky records. Um, for Oilers. What was it? What I meant to say was he was getting awards. That's what I meant to say. The Harts, the Art Rosses. And he's obviously, if he wins the Stanley Cup, getting a Conn Smythe. Shit, they could lose and he get the Conn Smythe because Bobrovsky seemed like a lock, but then allowing 5 goals in 3 straight games is just not going to get you the Conn Smythe. I think if the Panthers win it, it'll Barkov getting that, who we'll discuss later. But I could see him getting it as a loser. I really could. That's how good McDavid's been. So if he does win the Stanley Cup, are we talking top 10 of all time? Arguably top 5. It's, I mean, I don't see him going anywhere either if he wins the Stanley Cup. If they lose, I could definitely see them not coming back here, especially with this core, maybe even ever. Um, there's going to be some big contract increases for players like Bouchard, especially Bouchard and Leon Draisaitl, who we'll discuss in a sec. So this is a big opportunity for the Oilers. Obviously, we still have that question in goal. Stuart Skinner, like I said, he's been great, but it's still just Stuart Skinner. So let's discuss Leon Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl is still very, very disrespected in my opinion. He is every bit as good as McDavid, minus a couple hairs. So we're talking, is he going to be a top 20 of all time? I could totally friggin' see that. Maybe not with this win, but as it accelerates. The problem with Draisaitl is it's just like he's got McDavid. We can't determine his worth without McDavid. But in the same stroke, we can't value McDavid's worth without Draisaitl until we see an injury season or someone get traded or something like that. So Draisaitl should be in a very similar boat as McDavid. He obviously has less points in a longer amount of time. I think Draisaitl was 2014, if I recall. Um, so less points in a longer amount of time. But I mean, we're talking McDavid here. This if you're worse than McDavid, that says absolutely nothing about you because everyone else is. So Draisaitl, a lot on the line for my guy here as well. He's had horrible finals. He's obviously playing through something. Game 6, he did end up getting 3 assists. We could see if he stays hot. If he's so McDavid, I don't think he got a single point in last game. Maybe he got like 1 assist. But if Draisaitl and McDavid get hot, it's going to be hard to stop them. I would be curious. I doubt they're going to put them on the same line. That would be cool to see. However, not putting them on the same line got them 15 so far postseason wins. So Zach Hyman, I don't think this really affects Hyman's legacy. Everyone will always see him as a tipping merchant. However, it will be funny because the Leafs. Uh, but yeah, so I don't think a lot's on the line for him. Bouchard, this is huge, huge, huge for Bouchard. We're looking at contract. We're looking at legacy. We're looking at, is he a top 5 defenseman in the league? I think he's a top 5 offensive defenseman in the league, arguably top 3. He got over a point per game in the regular season. Obviously, he's been huge in these playoffs. I mean, if McDavid and Draisaitl didn't exist, like he is the best player on this team in my opinion. Better than RNH, better than Hyman. Um, I don't think there's any more arguments really, but I think this would be huge for Evan Bouchard to get this win, and that's not a name I thought I would be referring to in a situation like this at the beginning of the playoffs. At the beginning of the finals, yes, because he's been great. But let me do a quick overlook here of other Oilers players. Derek Ryan, don't really need to discuss him. Yeah, Mark, he's been all right. Adam Henrique, that'd be so interesting. So Adam Henrique, I'm pretty sure he had a big Game 7 goal for the Devils when they played or when they were going to play the Kings in that game set, or they didn't play. That wasn't a game 7 in the finals. I mean to say. So there was a game 7 leading to the finals where Adam Henrique, I'm pretty sure, had a really good goal, a big goal, I should say. This would be huge. As a part-time Ducks fan, seeing a Duck get traded mid-season to a Stanley Cup winning team, I would really like to see that. It's always interesting for the trade deadline acquisitions to see Adam Henrique started the season on the Anaheim Ducks and he's ending it in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Like that's always just been a for me personally. But I think I don't know, I don't think he'll be an X factor. I thought he might be because obviously he was a really good player on Anaheim, which is a team kind of down in the dumps. So you figure, like be decent up here with better players, but he hasn't really made too much of a difference. Connor Brown, though, Connor Brown has actually been really, really good, unironically. Like at the beginning of the year, everyone's like, "Oh, he's not going to score," including me. Even once he got on a breakaway, they were like, "Oilers have a breakaway, Connor Brown." Oh, but penalty killing, he's been great. I think both of his goals in the playoffs have been PK goals, which are obviously huge. He had one in the finals the other game. Absolutely huge player, Connor Brown for this team, surprisingly, in terms of just killing stuff off. Another big name that I didn't think was going to be a big name is Warren Fogle. He just seems to get the timely goals. I'm seeing right here he had less than I thought he did, 3 and 5 for 8 points. I don't know. It always just seems like Fogel's there. Fogel's doing something. That might be because he's been with McDavid a lot, but I don't know. I always feel like when Warren Fogle has the puck, like I'm like, this could turn into a goal. Holloway has more, huh? I did not think that. Ryan McLeod's he's been all right. We'll come back to Corey Perry because actually you got Perry, Kane, and Nugan, who I haven't talked about yet. Corey Perry, this would be huge for his Hall of Fame. Obviously, he hasn't done dick in these playoffs. Really, he got that one great goal that should just 100% be attributed to McDavid because of that assist. However, I mean, just putting another cup on that resume, it's torture for him. I'm sure 3 Stanley Cup final losses in a row to 3 different teams, even joining the defending 2-time winners and losing on that. I always thought that was so funny. I'm like, either the Lightning are winning 3 straight cups or Perry's losing 3 straight cups. And he lost 3 straight cups because the Avalanche obviously beat the Lightning in that series in six. Um, so will Edmonton be cursed by Corey Perry or will he break the curse? Obviously, he did get a cup in his early days with the Ducks, so I'm glad if he did, I'd feel so much worse for him. But I'm sure he wants to be more of a contributing factor in terms of leadership presence, and that's exactly what he's probably doing in the locker room. Evander Kane, big old fucking bully Kane. I know he's been through a lot. He's not the nicest guy. He's kind of a locker room cancer. You still got to be happy for anyone to win a Stanley Cup. He's been a great presence in these playoffs. More a presence than a scorer. 4-on-4. But let's talk about RNH. So RNH has been invisible this series. He has, however, 7 goals and 15 assists. He was going off in like I'd say like the middle two series. Ryan Newton Hopkins. Um, I just think this is a lot for him. So if you remember the 4 first overall draft picks that Edmonton had, he was the second one because they got Taylor Hall and then they got him. So they kind of started to build this team around RNH before they started building it around McDavid. And I'm sure McDavid attributes a lot of his success to the leadership of Nugent Hopkins. This, like I said, was his team for a while. And the fact that he stayed here since 2011, 13 years of hell and coming up far short, and then eventually coming up kind of short, and now here you go. I think this would be huge for Nugent Hopkins, especially just being here for so long. I think I don't even think I damn near know he's the longest tenured Oiler. Um, and I think the fans would go nuts for Nugent Hopkins as much as they'd go nuts for like McDavid winning the cup. As for Oilers fans. Um, the only defenseman I really want to talk about is Darnell Nurse. He's still a bum. Um, and then Stuart Skinner, obviously. I think this is an Aiden Hill run where Aiden Hill obviously played better in his run, but is just don't attribute much of what he's doing now into the regular season next year, right? It's not like Stuart Skinner is now like a Vezina caliber Stanley Cup winning goalie. Like he would be a Stanley Cup winning goalie, but like it was all the offense, some defense, and a few hot games from Stuart Skinner. He had the first shutout of the postseason. Still one of the only ones. And yeah, he has been excellent in the last few games. Can't deny him of that. But let's not get our panties in a bunch here. He will still be Stuart Skinner by the time it is all said and done. However, it is a once child accomplishing their childhood dream. So You'd love to see it for anybody. All right, let's go on to the Florida Panthers. Let's start with the captain, Aaron Ekblad. I think it'll be funny that Ekblad is the first to lift this cup when it was Matt Kachuk that came in, changed the culture, made this team what it is today. Aaron Ekblad has kind of been on the back burner for all that. It was like Ekblad, Barkov, and Huberdeau in the 2022 season when they got that President's Trophy, and then they just completely shifted focus. They were like, all right, this team ain't winning a cup. We can win the regular season. They ain't winning the cup, though. So they traded Huber though. They got and freaking Uyghur. They got the Chuck. They changed up their entire the way they play hockey and yeah. So Ekblad has kind of been like left out because he is kind of how they used to play hockey, right? I don't think he's first overall caliber. I made a tier list, which is really funny, of first overall picks in the last like since 2000. I think maybe I went back to 98 with LeCavier. I think that's when he got picked, 98. Um, but I did obviously talk about Ekblad and McDavid, and both of them were held back due to their playoff experience and cup winning experience. And obviously, one of them is going to get a big boost from this. I think McDavid's boost would obviously be a lot larger, as Ekblad's presence hasn't really been felt. He was bad in the first couple of series, and he's just been there in the second of the most recent two series. So Ekblad is kind of. I wish he did more to accomplish this great feat, obviously, but I'd love to see him get a cup at the end of the day, either way. Now, Alexander Barkov, who I think should win Conn Smythe if the Panthers win the cup, he has been excellent. Patrice Bergeron's a little brother, one might say, because obviously he's not touching Bergeron, at least in my humble opinion, my biased humble opinion. But he is a great two-way forward. He's facilitating out there. That is the word. He is facilitating. He's doing excellent. He's doing everything he can to work on both ends of the ice. He is a danger. He is a presence. 100% of the time when he's on the ice, you cannot take your eyes off him. He was great keeping McDavid under lock the first few games. Obviously, the last couple hasn't really gone his way. But Barkov at the end of the day is still an excellent player, and I think he is more than worthy to hoist this chip. So I would love to see Barkov. I'd love to see basically all these players get it, except for Sam Bennett, who we'll talk about in a sec. But before that, obviously, we got to talk about Kachuk changing the culture. I already said it. I just think this would be amazing for him. Horrible for Oilers fans. Or I'm sorry, Flames fans. Horrible for Flames fans. Maybe good for some of the ones who still support him, who are like, we'll still follow you, Chuck. We love you. But Flames are probably kicking themselves right now that this guy changed the landscape of hockey in Sunrise, and he did nothing of that sort with the Flames. Obviously, Gaudreau is probably the bigger player there when he was there. Even Monahan, to an extent, was larger. And then when they left, Tkachuk was the guy, but they all knew that just nothing was happening while Tkachuk was there. So then Tkachuk leaves, and all of a sudden, he's the guy. And that's just really, really insulting to the entire nation or whatever the city, I guess, of Calgary. So very, very unfortunate for those guys. However, he is a hell of a player, gritty guy. Reminds me a lot of Keith Kachuk over what they say, because obviously I haven't been able to watch much of him. Look at how old I am. Um, but you are definitely your father's son. Sam Reinhart, he has been really quiet as of late. I'm really surprised that Reinhart and Hyman not only maintained their offensive prowess throughout the post, but the fact that both of them made the Stanley Cup final. They just seem like two of the most like in terms of like in the future forgettable 50 goal scorers, and here they are against each other in the Stanley Cup Finals. That's absolutely fucking crazy to me. And they did really great at offensive. I'm sorry, postseason scoring as well. So Reinhardt and Hyman, just two guys you wouldn't really expect to be the top goal scorers going into the Stanley Cup Finals, but here we friggin' are. And I do mean regular season by that. Hyman is the leading goal scorer though. I'm not sure if Reinhardt's behind him. No, Verhaeghe's ahead of him, of course, Verhaeghe. But yeah, no, this is huge for Reinhardt, who's been stuck in Buffalo. This is huge for Hyman, who was stuck in Toronto. Um, but yeah, and speaking of stuck in Buffalo, Kyle Okposo. This is his final ride. Like I don't think anyone's gonna argue me and be like, oh, he might come back. I think he's done. I think this would be the way to go out. Maybe if they lost this game, he wouldn't want to go out like that. It's just impossible to fathom Florida losing this game. It would just be so horrendous for their entire franchise. But if they do win the finals, Okposo, he's probably going out on top of the world like that. Like I wanted Horford to do. It looks like Horford is probably going to stick around another year. Hard to complain about that because of how much I love the guy. But Okposo is as good as gone if they win this cup, and he deserves it. He's only made the postseason 3 times before this year. Obviously, all of them with the Islanders, none of them with shit ass Buffalo. So good of him to get out of Buffalo right at the end of his career and make a run for it. Sam Bennett, trash player, good player, I should say, trash person. I would, I'm gonna look away when he hoists it. Everyone else I'm excited for, but Sam Bennett is dirty and I don't like him. Um, Vladimir Tarasenko. This would be huge for his Hall of Fame induction. Whether or not he's going to get in there, he probably does need another Stanley Cup based on the fact that he doesn't have any of those like Hards or or not Art Rosses or anything like that. Obviously, he's been a lot smaller a piece here than he was in St. Louis, but yeah, I mean the guy does have 5 goals and 4 assists, which is a lot more than the depth of Edmonton, unsurprisingly. Um, but yeah, that'd be good. It would be good for Tarasenko to put this on his resume and just be like, "Yo, I won Stanley Cups on 2 completely separate teams. Get me in the Hall of Fame." Who am I forgetting here? Evan Rodriguez. I already said he has been unbelievable this these playoffs, or at least this series. How many goals does he have? 7. So yeah, this year I think he had 3 of them in the series. He had a 2 goal game. Um, Rodriguez wants it. I don't think he went to Edmonton. He went to Pittsburgh after they won it, and then he went to Colorado after they won it. And he's like, I got to jump on a team that's going now. And then he jumped onto Florida, and they could be going. Carter Verhaeghe. Carter Verfriggin Hagee. This would be his second Stanley Cup. The first one in Tampa, he did virtually nothing. I'm sure he will always look at that like, all right, that's cool and all, but I gotta deserve it. I gotta earn it. And this will be the perfect opportunity to do so. He is a nasty player. If this shit goes to overtime, oh, I didn't even consider overtime. But if this shit goes to overtime, I know who I'm putting my bet on for winning the overtime goal. And obviously, it is Carter Verhaeghe. Great player and I'm sure he's just looking to push up more of those accolades. Um, the defense. I mean, just I'm just gonna say for all of the defense of this team, I'm talking Montour, Mikkola, Gustav Forsling, Kulik. They've all been so equal with each other. I think Forsling's been the best one, especially offensively, wrapping up the Boston series. I think he even got the Rangers series started on the board. Forsling has been great. Ekman and Larson, this would be huge for him getting out of the desert. I think he was on that 2012 team that made it to the conference finals, but and he was a big part of that. Obviously, he is a lesser part of it here. But I don't think he's completely washed. He still has some really good shifts, some great looks. This should be cool for Ekman Larson to see him take home the trophy. Um, and I mean, I'm pulling for pretty much everyone in the series in on both sides of the puck, which is hard. I think I am pulling more Edmonton just for McDavid's sake. But then Bobrovsky's on the other side. Bobrovsky has less time. But I think Florida has a better chance of getting back here when Bobrovsky is still in net than the Oilers do in the next 5 years. I think when you look at the West, Colorado and Dallas will always be the top 2 teams to make the finals from the West. Um, Vegas fell short this year just because they had to play Dallas in the first round. The Oilers squeaked past Dallas. Stuart Skinner stood on his head at the end of that series, and they lit up Ottinger. I don't want to say they got lucky, but I'll tell you what, I think we are lucky that the Avalanche and the Stars aren't going in every single year. That's how good both of those teams are. So I could see the next like 3, 4 years it's only being those two. That's why I want the team in the West now to get there. But who's gonna win? I'm not gonna say because I forget if everything I say is always right or wrong, and I don't want to jinx it, and I'm superstitious. That's fine. But I think it should be I think it might be a low scoring affair. I'll say that. I think it might be a low scoring affair. I think both of these guys, Bobrovsky and Skinner, have been in these situations before where they need to be like, all right, Skinner's already done a game 7 this year. Bobrovsky obviously was in for game 7 last year against the Bruins in that big ass upset. Um, so I think both of these guys are gonna be like, I you ain't getting past me. And I think it will take a lot to get past either of these masks. But that is all. Thank you guys for watching. I am so excited for this. Obviously, there will be a video coming after to confirm what I said. Be like, yeah, I told you that McDavid's now a top 5 player, or Bobrovsky's now going in the Hall of Fame. So I don't even know why I would record it, because what I say here, I still believe to be true unless some crazy shit happens. They put in Stolarz. Yeah, that was interesting that Bobrovsky missed practice, but I'm sure he's fine. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and go Oilers and Panthers. I'm sitting on a hedge, man.